You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.
So Ben, what's the strangest thing that's ever happened to you?
That's a good one. So, okay. I used to work at, we did an episode on the Mount Pleasant Native American boarding school. So there's an Indian reservation there, and on the reservation they have built what you may know as the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. I used to work there. So I don't know if I've ever told you about this. So I was working one day at my typical spot, and it felt like somebody had pinched me on the shoulder. Like, you ever have somebody grab your trapezius muscles? And
oh yeah, I hate it. It's the worst feeling ever.
Like, I did exactly that. And then I turned around. I thought it was the cashier messing with me. I turned around, nobody there. I was like, whoa. I was like, I wonder if security saw that.
Oh my gosh, you didn't get the tape?
No, I mean, I never talked to anybody about it. I just thought maybe I had a muscle spasm or something, but I don't know. That was weird.
Wow. I mean, I've never had a muscle spasm to that degree where
it felt like somebody grabbed me.
I mean, I've definitely had experiences where I felt like I was with a presence or something, and I felt like pressure pushing down on my shoulder, but that could also have been just stress.
But I've said it before. There's weird. That town is something weird. Something is weird about it.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant is a very unique place.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a cool town.
What about you? Strangest experience? I mean, you ever had something you can't explain happen? Weird coincidence?
Well, yeah, not to make myself sound like a total freak, but sometimes I can, call things that are about to happen. I don't get, visions or anything, but I get this, instinctive feeling that somebody's about to knock on the door, or I'm going to get a text from somebody that day. But, I mean, everybody has those strange things happen to them, or, those glitch in the matrix type things that happen to them, where it's really intense deja vu, but maybe it's just slightly different of an experience. I have things like that happen to me all the time.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're saying. I feel like, I don't know, whether you believe in spirits, ghosts, whatever you want to call it, different people have different sensitivities to this sort of thing. I don't think it's everybody can see them. Some people I don't even think can. I think it's an ability. Just like playing an instrument or being good at, I don't know, math or something.
I feel like you have to some degree, really be open to it just to be more receptive to it. I mean, I am 100% a believer in you make your own world. You get to choose what's in your world.
Reality is perception.
Exactly. However, as we've discussed on previous episodes, if you want, for whatever reason, you're weird like Ben and I, and you love this spooky stuff, and you want to bring something like that into your life, there are different avenues to explore and investigate. The unexplainable and the strange.
Yeah, just like I was saying, math. You have to be open to it.
Nobody likes math, Ben. But it's also these different tools that we've developed to kind of connect to other worlds or other beings, whether they're ghosts or aliens or Bigfoot, if we're trying to get hold of some of these cryptid creatures that live among us. We were super lucky enough to have a listener write in and share their experience about not only video ITC, but one of my favorite topics, urban legends, potential Mothman sighting.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. But kind of a scary experience nonetheless. Not kind of, super scary experience nonetheless. So we're really excited to introduce Whitney tonight as our first guest storyteller.
So this happened while I was in college. I had a boyfriend who would stay with me quite often, and I have to kind of preface this with the fact that a few years prior to this incident, my best friend had committed suicide. So I was still in a place of grief, and I wanted to like reach out to him, of course, like anyway. I was like, can I consult an oracle or a medium of some sort, or how could I contact, my friend? So I think this takes place about 2 years later. I had learned about video ITC, I think through my boyfriend, like we had kind of discussed. He was a video major, and he was kind of, into doing experimental things with cameras, and we just kind of happened upon it. And I brought it up to him, and I was like, we should try this sometimes. And he's like, I don't know if that's a good idea, I was like, all right, and just kind of put it on the back burner. I didn't really bring it up again. And I think it was like later that week, or possibly a couple weeks later, we were in my apartment. I was just exhausted. So I went to bed early that evening, and I was in my room, and I remember like just waking up out of a dead sleep, and I was laying on my back, and I looked up, and I thought like maybe my eyes were trying to adjust, but I saw this really strange like glow, and it was at the top of the wall where the ceiling and the wall meet, and I kept staring at it, and I noticed it was moving ever so slowly, like toward where I was, like on the bed. I really did think that my eyes just needed to adjust, honestly, because it was so strange to see something like that in my room, because you know your room, like where light casts, and like when a car drives by, like how it reflects. And so it just seemed kind of like an anomaly, like why was it here? As I'm staring at this and kind of like realizing that whatever this light is moving, I hear a vibration similar to like the beating of moth's wings, or like a hummingbird. It was that quick, and it was like beating against the wall next to my face. Like you kind of do that side eye where you don't roll your head all the way over, but you're looking. And I saw this thing like out of the corner of my eye, and I felt something brush up against my face. And I look over, and it was about the size of a bat, and it looked like a moth, and I screamed so loud. And normally I don't get scared. I don't get scared very easily. And I shrieked and jumped out of my bed, ran out of my room, into the living room. And my boyfriend was sitting on the sofa playing video games, and I ran between him and the television. And of course, he's like, what's going on? Why are you screaming? And I was like, there's something in my room. There's something in my room. You have to go in there. And he's like, what is in there? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's a bat, or it's a moth, or it's a bird. It's something's in there. It touched my face. You have to go in there. And he's like, dude, I'm not going in there. And I was like, help me. We have to pull the blankets back, and investigate. And so of course I'm standing behind him, kind of like pushing him into my room, and he's like, dude, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to go in here. And I'm like, help me. And so we start like just kind of, gently lifting up the blankets on my bed, and we kind of get further and further, and there's nothing there. And so he's like, you're dreaming, you're just having a freak out, like you're stressed out, and I told him, I was like, there's no way. I saw what I saw. Like, you can't sit here and say that it was just imaginary. So when I walked back into the living room, I noticed what he was doing. And he had his video camera set up on a tripod. It was about midway in my living room. It was pointed at the television, and he had it plugged into the television. And essentially what he was doing was recording the television with the camera. So he was recording his gameplay. And if you can imagine the way that my apartment is set up, there was where the TV was positioned in my living room, it was right up against my bedroom wall. So on the other side of that wall was where I was sleeping, and right about where my head was at. So there was a line, if you were to kind of like look in it from a dollhouse perspective, it was like my boyfriend, the camera, the television, the wall, and me. So I kind of like just pointed at the camera, and I was like, have you been recording? And he was like, yeah, this whole time. And I was like, let's look at this footage. So we go back and he catches me running through the room in front of the camera and screaming. And I asked him to put it in some editing software just to see like if we could slow it down, if there was something that we missed, because I was so freaked out. And in the frame, before I run into the living room, like before I run on camera, you can see this big, like white, silvery, like smear across the frame. And like even talking about it now, it just kind of gives me chills. Like it makes me feel like anxious all over again. It was pretty astounding, like to see something like that. We couldn't make out any shapes or words. There wasn't really any audio associated with that frame that was of significance, but it was just there for like maybe a frame and a half, just this big silvery smear. I remember like yelling at him like, is it the Mothman? And he made fun of me for so long. He's like, you saw the Mothman, you saw the Mothman. In retrospect, like I kind of go back and I think about it. Was this something that I had put out there that, I wanted to contact my friend possibly, and I had heard about, a method of using electronics to kind of, I guess, to stimulate that type of activity. And I kind of wonder if maybe that was, him or possibly somebody else like reaching out. I would notice these things, and if I told people about them, they would just kind of write it off as like I'm weird or I'm creepy or crazy, or you're imagining things. And so after a while, you kind of learn to keep it to yourself a bit. Don't be afraid to be weird.
Well, not only is Whitney super charming, but I have a theory that she is a little more susceptible to these unexplained experiences than most people. She shared with us during her interview that she had quite a few experiences, not only in the apartment where this story took place, but throughout her whole life.
Yeah, and she mentioned something about like a girl in her high school or something coming up to her and telling her that she had a dream telling her that she needed to talk to Whitney.
Yeah, it's already kind of weird when you have a dream about somebody visiting you in your subconscious, but then to go out and like share it with that person, it almost bridges to totally independent realities. It's kind of a weird concept.
Yeah, dreams are a funny thing.
They are, and there are so many different theories on what a dream means. I know we did an episode on nightmares, but really what a dream is it just like a collective download of what's happened throughout, your last moments, or is it something more?
It's a totally unconscious thing.
Exactly. But what if you had a reoccurring dream that started to affect your true reality? What if you had this dream and it started to take a toll on how you live your daily life? Would you be able to separate your dreams from reality?
You might recognize our next storyteller tonight. Kat joined us.
The infamous Kat.
The infamous Kat has joined us a few times. Julie, my favorite, Julie and Catherine's Haunted Adventure. Check it out.
It's actually super hilarious, and apologies for my swears.
Yeah. But on a more serious note, this story is about a student Kat had and some of the strange dreams she was having.
The student has approached me multiple times this school year, and for some reason she like clings to me and like wants to tell me these things, which I'm like, what kind of vibes am I giving you? Like, is this, I don't know. But she is like repeatedly telling me about this dream that she's been having. She just like in her dream, she'll be doing like normal everyday activities, shopping at the mall, watching TV, just everyday normal things, hanging out with her family. and all of a sudden she kind of gets like overrun by like ants. Like they'll start coming out of like every surface. She gave an example of like they were started crawling out of like the TV and then crawled all the way over the floor and covered the couch, and like to the point where she's completely consumed by ants. Like she's not even there anymore. She's constantly like, I feel like picking at her clothes and like rubbing herself. This is like really bothering her because she's like constantly like fixated and thinking that like things are like crawling all over her, and she has like kind of like developed a little bit of a phobia, and like she'll see an ant and she'll instantly freak out. You know, like she's like, what do I do? How do I stop this from happening? I told her to dream about like creating some sort of repellent that like when she sees one, she just sprays it and then it all ends. But it's just kind of one that like the constant festering and like, I don't know, that one just kind of creeps me out personally because I hate ants.
Cat, I hate ants too. I hate ants. I hate them so much. I see them crawling on my desk sometimes at work, and I literally will just stand up and scream.
Some ants are evil. Fire ants.
I know.
That bullet ant, I think it's called.
Sometimes I'll be walking our studio dog outside, and there will just be mountains and mountains and mountains and mountains of these flippin' ant hills, and I'm like afraid to walk over them. I don't know if they're fire ants. I don't know if I've ever been bit by a fire ant.
Well, sometimes you see like something on the ground, you're like, what's that? And you get close, it's like, oh, it's ants swarming something. Like popsicle or, you know, dead animal.
Oh, and then how they like carry the giant dead bodies of the bigger bugs that they kill for food. Oh my gosh, I want to throw up. I'm not a fan of ants, so I'm right alongside this student. I'd be petrified if this is what my every night was filled with.
Well, to dream such a horrifying dream and have it reoccur so much that it is affecting you physically. Like Kat said, she's like pulling at her clothes and stuff, and that's terrifying.
Poor kid. Oh, I hope she finds that raid soon.
Yeah, I hope she can fight the ants. So one last thing before we go, of course, scouring the wonderful world that is Reddit, I found a kind of old post to some thread, what's your craziest story you don't tell people because they won't believe you thread. And I when I read this, I thought it was very appropriate for the Strangeness episode, so I'm just going to share it real quick with us here. The Reddit user is, I don't even know how to say this. How do you say this? KZ Nitty Lord?
KZ Nitty Lord.
KZ Lord. Whatever that means. 3 years ago.
Don't say it 3 times. You don't know what might happen.
Right. Yeah, I won't say it again. Okay. Here goes. I don't tell this story because it's just a little too strange. Like a glitch in the Matrix. I'm a skeptic by nature, by the way, and I do think it was just a big coincidence, but it's odd as hell. So one day, I'm at home, and I get a phone call. On the other end is a young woman, and she said someone called her from this number, and they said that they had her cat. Well, I told her she must have the wrong number, because I certainly didn't call her, and I don't have anyone's cat. So that was it, and she hung up. About 10 minutes later, I go to get my mail. I'm on the first floor, so I just leave my apartment door open, and as soon as I open the door to the vestibule where the mailboxes are, I see sprinting in the door a black and white cat, and it goes right into my apartment. So I go back inside, shut the door, and there's this cat sitting, perching on the arm of my couch, staring at me. I'm kind of surprised at this point, I just told someone I didn't have any random cats in my apartment, and suddenly here's one on my couch. Anyway, so I noticed the cat has a tag on its collar. Hi, my name is Skittles. Not the cat's real name. I like how he masked the name of the cat. If I'm lost, call, and then the phone number was there. So I called the number, and it's the young woman who just called me 10 minutes ago. I said, this is going to sound weird, but now I have your cat. So she came over, looked at me real suspiciously, and thanked me and left. I have no explanation for this. I accept that it's just a coincidence. But it is one hell of a coincidence.
It sounds like a prank that Jim would play on Dwight in The Office.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a prank.
I don't know. Definitely, this is evidence that the Matrix is real and that we're all in some alternate reality.
Well, yeah, if there was a glitch, I mean, how would we know? Weird things happen. We find weird things in weird places.
Or it could be like some weird deja vu, like intercepting of two different universes. I don't know. That's getting super conspiracy theory.
I mean, I think let's think about the simplest explanation here. Cats are very mysterious creatures and probably from another dimension. So maybe this cat just poofed in. Maybe that lady was like another cat. Like the leader of the cats. Calling up.
What if we're all cats? No, cats are evil, and I stand by that statement.
Yeah.
I have a cat. I love her very much, but I think that she's plotting my death.
Right. Yeah. No, the earth is hollow, and it's filled with cats. That's where they come from.
No, good find. If anybody else has any cool glitch in the Matrix stories or weird stranger danger run-ins or anything else that's Reddit worthy, guess what? It's at the Fire worthy too.
Yeah, we love all the Redditors that are always willing to come on and talk about their experiences with us.
And listeners too. That reminds us, we want to give another thank you to Whitney and Kat for coming on and sharing their stories. You ladies rock. Girl power. You're welcome back anytime. Who run the world, girls?
That's right. Whitney, you are awesome. And thanks again, Kat. Never a business because it's always a pleasure.
You sound like a dad.
Hey, back in my day, the camcorder.
I didn't say grandpa. I said dad. Oh, goodness. To keep up on all of the exciting happenings about our podcast, our favorite podcast, and other spooky happenings, follow us on Twitter @_the_fire. You can also find us on Facebook at The Fire. We're on iTunes. We're on all your favorite podcast streaming sites.
And, of course, you can check out our website at thefire.com.
And you can submit your story there, too. Shoot us a direct message on whatever social media interface you're using. You can actually follow my personal Instagram and get a hold of me there, where I'll share some cool updates about the show. Red Hot Jilly Pepper, and that's Jilly with one L.
Oh, yeah. And rate and review us on iTunes and, I don't know, anywhere else that'll let you. Spread the good word.
Yeah, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell the person that's eating lunch by themselves in the break room because they probably need something to do to entertain themselves to pass the hour.
We really would appreciate it. Thank you as always. We love all of our listeners.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Thanks for all the love and support. We're feeling it.
We're glad we're not just talking to nobody.
Or each other, because I'm here too, Ben.
Oh, yeah. We're glad we're not just talking to each other.
As always, this is Jill.
And my name is still Ben.
Thank you for joining us at The Fire. Until next time, stay strange. This episode's music was made possible by the following: The Insider, Soft and Furious, Jay Grover, Mon Plaisir, Lenny Boy, and Kai Engel. And you can find their music on freemusicarchive.org and freesound.org.
You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.